Welcome back to Half the Battle. I'm your host as always, Daniel Levi, your co-host Shaq. And man, it's good to have you back in the studio here for the first time in a couple weeks. Going to recap this pretty epic UFC 222 card, and welcome back, my man.
Yeah, man, it's good to be back. It was an epic weekend. I know you guys heard about it. Undefeated, 3-0 on my picks, 3-0 on Dan's picks. Combined profit of over 17 units, and we got the job done.
Yeah, I mean, when you go a combined 17.34 units, I had 9.17 units profit. Shaq had 8.17 units profit. Both undefeated sweeps. I mean, what else is there to say? The last two events were clean sweeps too.
Yeah, man, it was a great card, and it was good that we could capitalize on some mismatches. So, I had a couple individual clients come in for UFC 222 right before the event. Just wanted that, my personal individual package, and I got the job done. Every bet won. That's more than some people's lifetimes, man. Once again, if you've had a bad experience out there in the past with other handicapping services, you've never dealt with us before. You've never dealt with the MMA Genius before. You've never dealt with Best Fight Picks. I mean, Dan, since July, I'm up 33 units. How does an extra $3,000 sound? How does an extra $30,000 sound? How does an extra $300,000 sound? There's not too many times where you come across a guy that means business. There's not too many times where you come across a guy that actually says what he's going to do, and I do what I say I'm going to do. So, of course, after they signed up for that individual package, they had to up it up to that full year VIP membership because, hey, I get the job done.
This is true, my man. Long term, the numbers speak for themselves. That's what we've been preaching this whole time. And, man, that main event, I mean, we don't even got to talk about that main event, that mismatch between Cyborg, Kunitskaya, minus 1,700 for a reason. But what I do want to talk about is the real main event, that co-main event between Frankie and Ortega. And, man, a lot of people got burnt playing Frankie Edgar there, huh?
Look, we told you on the podcast that T-City is not the guy to fade. Look, we learned our lesson of fading T-City a few months ago, and never again, because T-City drowns guys. He finds a way to create chaos, and he makes guys panic, and that lead elbow that he landed was just absolutely beautiful, and he was boxing Frankie up from the opening bell. So T-City title shot time, and don't be shocked when he taps out Holloway or knocks him out.
Not only did we both pick Ortega inside the distance, but just the fact that he actually went out there and did that speaks for itself. And, after the Moicano fight, because that was the last time that I picked against T-City, I learned my lesson. Never again, because this kid finds a way to win. And, everyone's always talking about how, oh, Frankie, he shouldn't leave his neck out there. Well, you shouldn't leave his chin out there either, Shaq.
Yeah, exactly. T-City is a threat in every aspect of the game. And like I said, undefeated. It's still not first L time for him yet.
Yeah, we talk about it's first L time for everybody, but man, there seems to be exceptions nowadays. Guys like Khabib, who 25-0, you don't see numbers like that in this day and age. And man, this kid T-City, when him and Max Holloway entered the UFC's octagon and they locked that cage behind them, that literally is going to be the most epic featherweight fight since Aldo and Holloway. You could say since Aldo and Edgar. It's since Aldo and McGregor even. But, man, just at this point in time, because, look, what was so cool about Aldo and McGregor was it was kind of a changing of the guard. It was a passing of the torch. It was that time where, look, Aldo was the greatest featherweight of all time. He had that unbelievable run. And now it was time to, pass that belt on to the new era, which was Conor McGregor. But what's so cool about Ortega versus Holloway is they're both in their 20s. They're both just kids. They're both not even in their primes yet. And they're already at the highest level. It's the champion and #1 contender, and it really could be an epic battle for the ages, man. I know conventional wisdom says that Max might just come out here, pick him apart on the feet, and if he shoots in for a takedown, his neck could get snatched. But don't sleep on the striking of Ortega, man. As we saw in the Renato Moicano fight, even the Cub Swanson fight, and most recently the Frankie Edgar fight, his striking's come a long way, Shaq.
Yeah, man, his boxing's gotten progressively better each fight, and he finds a way to create chaos and gets guys to panic.
He absolutely does. And, I mean, we got to talk about what's next for Frankie Edgar because, obviously devastating loss. I still won't be surprised if a guy of Frankie Edgar's caliber works his way back up to a title shot. Now, whether he'll win the belt, that's a completely different story. But I think you could match him up with a guy like Ricardo Lamas, both coming off first-round knockout losses. And, and they actually haven't fought each other yet.
But, now I feel like him and Josh Emmett maybe should get down, you know what I'm saying, after they recover from these KO losses in about 6 to 9 months. They could duke it out.
And my boy Josh Emmett's sitting in a dark room right now after Jeremy Stevens gave him the business, you know what I mean? But, T-City took care of biz, and once again, he did it in a way that people didn't expect, because I know a lot of people are playing Frankie and then they hedged it with Ortega by sub. Big mistake.
Look, we don't do hedging here at Best Fight Picks. We'll tell you to take a side, and that side's going to get the job done. Guys, MMA is a complete gold mine for betting. I mean, Dan, we get consistent, easy matchups to get the money on, and I'm sick and tired of guys missing out on these easy max bet winners. I mean, some of these lines are softer than Charmin, Dan. Some of these lines are softer than Sarah McMahon after the first round. Some of these lines are softer than Kylan Curran in that octagon. And unfortunately, Kylan Curran just got released from the company. So that's unfortunate.
That's a big blow.
But guys, with me, I would have told you, hey, this is our last opportunity to get Kylan Curran. And thank God we cashed that 10-unit play on the Enzown end. But these lines are softer than Vitor Post-USADA, bro. I mean, and some people would ask, well, what do you mean? I mean, for example, Kellen Vieira closed at -210 this past weekend. Dan, you know what line we got that and our clients got that at?
-120, Shaq.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, because we're prepared, and we'll tell you when you're getting a steal of a line. And like we said, -120 for a max bet. We're not going to give you a -300 a day before the fight. We're going to give you a fight that's lying close, and it's a complete mismatch. And, people were saying, what happens if Kat does this and that, and she beat Amanda Nunes and Miesha Tate. We told you the game has passed her by. That style's not going to work, and as you can see, Kellen's worst case scenario still beat her, and I don't know who scored that fight for Zingano. That guy.
He must have had the +185 on,
Exactly, and
the fight was in Vegas. Gambling is legal over there.
We told you, guys, take your hard-ons for Kat Zingano out of the question. I know she's hot. She's a MILF. Yeah, she's a cool chick, but
she smokes weed. Oh, man.
This is about getting money at the end of the day, and Kellen's the better fighter in every aspect, and she showed that.
And, it's funny. We were getting messages asking, how could we be so confident in Ketlin Vieira? We got messages saying Kat should be -600 in the spot. Kat Zingano beat Amanda Nunes. Kat Zingano beat Miesha Tate. Kat Zingano beat Rocking Pennington. So fucking what? It didn't matter in this spot. She comes from the Hoist Gracie era of women's MMA, and as you saw, Shaq, that style doesn't work anymore. It's a new era now. She didn't even sniff a single takedown, Shaq, and we didn't max bet this at -185. We didn't max bet this at -200. We didn't max bet this at -225. Shaq, we max bet this at -120. Pick 'em odds. We don't let our boners for Kat Zingano get in the way of making money. We don't let the fact that, she'll smoke a joint with us get in the way of making money. Tell me who else, besides our Best Fight Picks VIP clients, are hitting big plays at -120 odds. I'd like to know.
And not only that, for example, I gave you a consistent winner in Cody Stamann on the podcast last weekend. I mean, we said if you're going to take a side in that fight, it has to be Stamann. Stamann's the proven winner. Stamann's the guy that always finds a way to get his hand raised. He's 17-1. He's really 18-0 because the one fight he lost was a complete robbery. But I told you before his UFC debut, go back to the podcast before UFC 213. I told you Cody Stamann is a future top 15 guy, and he went out there and proved it against a tough fight against Caraway. Shout out to Caraway, by the way. He's a junkyard dog, and he fought well. But at the end of the day, it's about wins and losses, and we got the win. And we told you that Andre Sukumtach's fight IQ is not there. We told you about the Alejandro Perez fight when he had no fight IQ, and guess what he doing there on Saturday, Dan?
He lost another decision.
He proved that he can't win a decision, which we told you. Go back and listen. We told you he can't win a decision, and we told you O'Malley actually is a good prospect, and O'Malley is this guy. So we're telling you how these things are going to play out. We told you the second Catlin and Kat tie up, that is going to be a complete difference.
It's funny. Speaking of O'Malley, this one's funny, dude, because everyone and their mom was on Andre Sukumta. I saw people putting 8-unit bets on it. They were saying he was easy money. They said O'Malley was all hype. They said O'Malley is only in this position because he smoked a blunt with Snoop Dogg. Well, you and I saw through all that, and we recognized a legitimate prospect. We told you Andre Sukumtut is a guaranteed loser if the fight hits the scorecards. We told you Andre Sukumtut has extremely questionable fight IQ and decision-making inside the octagon. Safe to say our VIP clients were very happy with that 3-unit winner on Sean O'Malley at Dog Money. And not to mention, man, speaking of Andre Sukumtut's fight IQ, because it was a great fight, when Sean O'Malley threw that head kick and he broke his foot, all Andre Sukumtut had to do was let him back up, and the kid wouldn't be able to stand up on his own, that's a TKO win for Andre Sukumtut. But Sukumtut is literally that much of a dummy that he's like, you know what, let me get on top of this guy and see if I can just win the round, even though I'm down the first 2 rounds, Shaq.
And I mean, just imagine, hopping on board for, a one-event package or your first VIP package and, us telling you these things and it exactly playing out that way. I mean, we said that O'Malley, if you stand in the pocket in front of O'Malley, you will lose. And that's exactly what happened. And, we're telling you how these things are going to play out.
I mean, long term, it is what it is, man. And I got to say, man, this kid Sean O'Malley, he's got a brighter future than I thought, dude. Like now, 2-0 in the UFC. If you include the Contender Series, 3-0 inside the octagon. I'm thinking he should go in there against someone like Yuri Alcantara, put him in there in the top 15 now.
I think he's totally ready for that. I think the top prospects at bantamweight right now are him and Cody Stamann.
Yeah, just don't let them fight each other yet,
Oh, yeah, not yet. Well, O'Malley's more on the slow track, Stamann's on fast track.
Stamann's top 10 already.
Exactly. So O'Malley's more, they have to build a star here. And, I think it's a good investment.
No, absolutely, and I'm just curious who they give him next because, a lot of people were saying that Sukumtut was way too big of a step up in competition. I don't understand.
The guy that lost to Albert Morales?
Yeah, that guy, Shaq.
The guy that knocked down Alejandro 3 times and couldn't find a way to win a decision? Those are not the type of guys that we bet on at Best Fight Picks. Now, look, he's a good fighter. He'll go on to, win another fight here and there, but we told you how these things would play out, and like I said, there's nothing like enjoying easy winners on fight night without any stress. We'll do all the work for you. We don't do this for a hobby. This is for real for us. If you really want that extra money in your pocket, go ahead and email bestfightpicks@gmail.com, and we'll put you in that winner's circle.
And we're now accepting Bitcoin, too.
Exactly. So, I mean, we got all type of payment methods, and like I said, we get the job done.
And, we don't even have to talk about Struve and Arlovsky. I mean, congrats to you for picking Arlovsky in that spot. But, Struve opened minus 380 there?
Man, thank God I won all my other bets, but like I said, I didn't understand that line at all, and Struve's completely done in my opinion now. Arlovsky's on a 2-fight win streak, so shout out to Arlovsky at 39 years old, getting a couple wins in a row. I wonder who he's gonna fight next.
Yeah, maybe my boy Marcelo Golma. If they want to give a prospect, Arlovsky next, or if they want to move Arlovsky up. Either way, we know how this is gonna end, Shaq. Now, I got to ask you, how'd you score that John Dodson versus Pedro Munoz fight? Because a lot of people were saying it was an easy win for Dodson, and I didn't view it that way.
I thought Pedro won 2 of the rounds, but I understand it's going to go one way or it's going to go another way in fights that are that close. So, it wasn't a robbery or anything like that. But, I did think Pedro did enough to win the fight. And, congrats to Dodson for weaseling out a decision. On the podcast, we were unsure if he could still do that. But I guess he, still has a little bit left. But moving forward, make no mistake about it, he will be picked off.
Oh, he will be faded very soon. But back to the main card because I kind of want to talk about, who should these guys fight next. And we already mentioned, for Ortega, it's Max Holloway, no doubt about it. I was suggesting Frankie versus Lamas. You suggested Frankie versus Emmett. And Sean O'Malley, Yuri Alcantara sounds good to me. And Andre Sukumtut, who's someone that can take him to decision so he goes 1-7 when fights hit the scorecards?
Man, that's a good question, man. Sukumtut, I don't know where he goes from here.
Let me ask you this. Who you got if Andre Sukumtut and Tomas Almeida threw down?
That's a good fight because we know Almeida's chin is completely shot, and we know that Almeida's got more volume, though, for sure. So if he could stay conscious, he could probably win a decision here. But that'd be a good fight. I wouldn't mind seeing that. What's
one thing I want to say, though? And, I would never criticize, giving a young and up-and-coming fighter a $50K bonus because Sean O'Malley and Andre Sukumtut, I'm happy they're getting paid. But to do that over Cody Stamann versus Brian Caraway, who had a legitimate war, Shaq?
Yeah, Stamann and Caraway both wobbled. They both shed blood. That was a complete war from the opening bell. Stamann got completely, schooled in the first round. Like I said, shout out to Caraway because I think he's got a good career moving forward as well, as long as he sticks with it, you know what I'm saying? But we told you Stamann's the proven winner, and to come back that second round and win, and it's to sprawl 20 out of 21 times. I mean, talk about a record of, failed takedown attempts. But Stamen got the job done. But that was the real fight of the night. Those men actually had a knock and respected each other afterwards. That last exchange, that last 30 seconds where Stamen ends up shooting and almost getting guillotined, that was the fight of the night. These one-sided fights like O'Malley and Sukumtaj, that's not really fight of the night. O'Malley dominated that fight. I mean, he even dropped him on one leg, if we're being honest here. That was a clear win for O'Malley. And now I know his leg broke and it got exciting, but the real fight of the night was Stamen and Caraway. And shout out to Cody Stamen, former guest at Half the Battle. 3 fights, top 10 in the world, if we're being honest, even though they got him ranked number 12. And what he's done in his 3 fights is remarkable.
Yeah, 100%. And, shout out to Brian Caraway, man, for all the things that he's been through. The loss of his coach, that's the only thing I want to talk about. For him to come back and, not just for him to step inside the octagon, period, point blank, but for him to go out there and put on the kind of performance he did, show that kind of heart, that grit, that vet savvy. Brian Caraway is a dog.
Yeah.
Brian Caraway is an absolute animal. And I really hope he keeps his head up because he's got a bright future too.
Yeah. I mean, I think he can still win fights moving forward. I think he can beat a lot of guys.
I mean, who do you want to see him in there? Let me ask you this. Who you got between Caraway and Kelleher?
That's a good fight. That's a really good fight because they got similar styles, both good chokes. But I think Caraway is just slightly better.
Okay, interesting.
Just slightly.
Yeah, and with Stamen, now that he's a top 10 guy, I mean, where does he go? I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd love to see, I wouldn't mind seeing that fraud Sterling take another canvas snap, but at the same time, Brett Johns has some business to attend to first.
If they want to do best, Cody to take out another European bantamweight prospect, I mean, he can do that as well with Brett Johns. If Brett Johns goes out there and handles Aljamain.
Which he should.
We'll see if he does. It's a tough fight. Aljamain's still top 10, so, he's still got a tough task. But Cody Stamen versus Brett Johns, or what about Cody Stamen versus John Dodson?
Yeah, if they re-sign John Dodson, because don't be surprised if they say, I'm happy for John Dodson. I'm happy for the deal he signed with Bellator. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Don't be surprised when that happens.
Yeah, don't be shocked if they let him go.
And also, Hector Lombard versus CB Dollaway. Now, this was interesting. Congrats to everyone that bet CB Dollaway because, as we always say on the show, you take a win by any means necessary. It doesn't matter if it's a controversial split, if it's a DQ, if it's a first-round knockout, whatever it is. And it happened to be a DQ, and you guys got your money, so congrats. But as far as what I thought about the official call, I actually thought it should have been a no contest. Let me explain why, Shaq. Because, yes, it was blatantly after the bell. There's no question about it. But that being said, doesn't the ref have to separate you? Doesn't the ref have to touch you for the round to officially be over? That's at least what I thought. That was my impression. The ref's halfway across the room saying stop. It's like, bro, come on, at least touch them and separate them because it was in the middle of a combo. CB threw a kick and Hector countered and knocked him out.
I mean, he was literally right in between them and he said stop twice and the punch was after the bell. So, I mean, look, who do I think won the fight? I think Hector knocked him out. But once again, there is rules, and the rules have to be abide by. So, congrats to CB on getting his extra win bonus, but we know who won the fight. And if they want to do a rematch, let's go, Hector.
It's funny because a lot of people were saying, and maybe I'm wrong, but my opinion is, a lot of people were saying that CB was looking for a way out and this and that. I legitimately think he was so fucked up that, every 5 seconds he was like, what happened? What happened? And they got to bring in the stretcher. I personally think he didn't know where the fuck he was. I know you might disagree on that.
I think he was fine. I just think the extra $50K was inside, and why not grab it?
And he took it with full grasp.
So, I wanted to talk about, if you're a guy that's never put a bet in, you're new to betting, and you're just a fan currently, and you're just a fan of the podcast, you just want to get insights on fights, but you are interested in jumping in this trillion-dollar industry of sports betting. And like I said, MMA is a gold mine for betting. I mean, I can guide you through that entire process. I can tell you the amount to be played each fight, because at the end of the day, it's all about making money. We cannot be sleeping on these easy money matchups, people. I mean, Brian Keller and Renan Barao, saw a lot of people on Renan the day of the fight thinking there's no possible way, but
he looked good at weigh-ins.
He's at ATT now. So what if he's at ATT? You think camp changes are going to change anything? There's a lot of things that need to be fixed about Renan Barao and the junkyard dog Brian Kelleher, whose strength is Renan's Barao's worst nightmare. went out there and beat his ass, and you got that from Best Fight Picks.
And you know what else is funny? I want to go back to the Brian Ortega versus Frankie Edgar fight. A lot of people were using this narrative of, oh, Ortega, he only has 3 weeks to train for this fight, as if that's some big factor. And people need to stop putting stock into these kind of things. GSP came back from a 4-year layoff and won. Kyung Ho Kang came back from a 4-year layoff and won. And Ortega took a fight on 3 weeks short notice against Frankie Edgar and won. So I feel like people need to look more into the matchup itself than, you know, all these layoffs and all these other factors. Look at Brian Caraway. Even though he ended up with an L coming off 2-year layoff, he looked incredible. But then there's people like Kat Zingano coming off a 2-year layoff, and she looked like total shit. So, you know.
I'll tell you when the USADA suspensions matter. I'll tell you when the layoffs matter. I'll tell you when a 2-year layoff matters. For Caraway, a guy that's, you know, been fighting bare knuckle, it really ain't gonna matter for him. But, you know, someone fragile like Zingano, it definitely will matter. But you know, let's talk about that VIP service. You know, that's our most booming package right now. Shout out to all my VIP clients. You know, when you get a guy that tells you what he's gonna do and he actually does it, like the guys that signed up for my individual package and they upgraded to VIP, I mean, what more can you ask for? I mean, I haven't lost a bet in 3 weeks, guys. Yeah, that Juban under 2.5, Brian Kelleher, the Morono, and, you know, a 3-0 weekend. I actually do what I say I'm going to do. So, you know, the VIP package, I mean, a lot of people are under the assumption that Dan and I, that we bet the same things, and that's totally not the case. I mean, with VIP, you get the access to 2 sharp minds. And, you know, for example, I like Stamen, Dan played O'Malley, and they both won. And you get the pre-advance notice. There's nothing better than having the work done for you from the 2 most dedicated, sharpest guys in the industry, telling you in advance what fights that we need to be on, what the line's going to be, and the amount that we need to put on it. I mean, I'm a man of my word.
And, you know, shout out to my client, Scott, in Florida, you know, because this guy, he understands this is a process. He understands this is a long-term game. You know, he doesn't get shaken up, oh, if we take an L here and there, because he knows the long-term game. He knows what we bring to the table. He knows that now we're on a 3-event win streak with all clean sweeps, including a 17.34 unit win between the 2 of us at UFC 222. And that's why he called me up a couple times in one day. So happy. Now he's got extra money to go do nice things with his kids. Now he's got extra money to get that nice gift for his wife. And it's just going to keep rolling from here. So I'm very excited about that. And, you know, one thing I wanted to talk about is Beneil Dariush versus Alex Hernandez, you know, because people are acting as if Beneil was an easy parlay leg, you know. Are you sick of throwing darts? Had enough of getting burnt by parlay busters? I know last week people were blindly parlaying Beneil Dariush. Look, Benny's a great fighter. He's a guy I have tremendous respect for. If you've listened to the show for years, you know how big of a fan I am of Beneil Dariush. I mean, look at the things he's accomplished in the sport. But like we said on the show, Shaq, these are the spots you avoid the big favorite on. The fights where the favorite has absolutely nothing to gain. I'm talking about Ricardo Lamas versus Josh Emmett. I'm talking about Beneil Dariush versus Alex Hernandez. You should have seen some of the comments we got on our YouTube channel when we said Alex Hernandez is absolutely no slouch and he has a very bright future and to avoid Beneil on this spot. They said, what the fuck are you talking about? They said, we just like to make up things to fit a storyline. Well, how does a 47-second KO parlay buster fit into the storyline, Shaq? Tried telling y'all there were better opportunities, but you insisted on doing things your way. No one identifies these trap fights better than us, and for the record, Shaq picked Emmett outright to beat Lamas.
Exactly. So, you know, I know there's a lot of people, you know, out there that hate getting up to go to work because, you know, your boss is annoying and, you know, he gets on your nerves, but you got to go because you got bills to pay. And, you know, I understand that, but I'm going to put that money in your pocket so that when you do have that plus 17.34 unit night between the both of us, that, you know, hey, maybe you call your boss and be like, fuck off, I'm not coming in today. I'm going to give you those extra days off. I'm going to let you take out the wife and kids a couple extra nights a week, and I'm going to get you back on that winning page. So, like I said, email bestfightpicks@gmail.com, and we'll put you in that winner's circle more times than not. And all I ask is just let me prove myself that I'm different than the rest. If you've had a bad experience, I need you to forget about that. They're not me. I'm not them. I get the job done.
Now let's talk about Zach Otto for a second. You know, people were hesitant to bet him. People said Mike Pyle might actually win this fight. They said Pyle should not be plus 260 in any fight. They said Zach Otto is a jobber. They said he has no KO power. But what they failed to realize, Shaq, is that it didn't matter in this spot. He wasn't going in there against Zaleski. He wasn't going in there against Darren Till. He wasn't going in there against Kamaru Usman. He was fighting Mike Pyle on his retirement fight, Shaq. We took a minus 240 that should have been a minus 740, and we max bet the shit out of it because that's what we do. We identify the mismatches. We weren't out here parlaying Otto with Frankie Edgar or Beneil Dariush. We go big on spots that others are too hesitant to capitalize on. We don't create scenarios in our heads that don't exist. We don't make up false situations that cloud our judgment. We see the money in our eyes. We fire away, and that's why Shaq and I are undefeated on consensus max bets. How awesome would it feel to have a max bet, 5 units risked, and your fighter goes out there and handles biz in the first round without a sweat? I'm talking Mike Pyle landed less than 5 significant strikes, Shaq. You know what I'm saying? That's what we're doing over here with our consensus max bets.
I mean, guys, it's plain and simple. There should have been no hesitation on Otto and Pyle at all. I mean, you know, thanks for everyone that did hesitate for letting me get that line at minus 250 or less, you know, easy max bet winner. But I mean, that line should have been minus 500 on the opener, and you got pretty much half price off. But, you know, thanks for letting that line stay low, and we appreciate it. But next time, guys, if you hop on board, bestfightpicks.com, I'll tell you, before that line even comes out, if this line is minus 250 or less, just like with Morano and Berkman, guys, Morano should have been minus 1,000. It was the easiest fight of the night, just like Otto and Pyle. I'm not going to tell you, I'm not sure about Otto like a lot of people were thinking. Guys, Otto's a 500 fighter going into the fight, but make no mistake about it, he's a good fighter. But he's only got 2 KOs on his record, Dan. So what? So because he's got 2 KOs, he can't put Pyle out.
Oh, like, but he went to a split with Josh Berkman. Oh, like, my God!
So what? He won that fight. The same Josh Berkman that arguably beat Felder the fight before that. You know what I'm saying? So guys, I'm gonna take all the doubt out of your mind. I'm gonna tell you before the line comes out, max bet season, and Dan, speaking of max bet season. You know, a lot of people, April is going to be a good month. You know, we only do have one event this month, but guys, if you guys sign up today, I will credit you for the weeks that there were no events. I mean, make no mistake about it. You're still gonna get your full service. But April, UFC 223, I'm already seeing a couple of easy fights. I already smell that max bet season. You know what I'm saying? It's too easy, man. I already see a couple of easy mismatches. It's gonna be easy money. I mean, and it's not what you think. I already said an easy underdog play as well. And it's not what you think. So
it's so funny.
It ain't Paul Felder.
It's so funny. You know, we say we have an easy max bet winner, and they're gonna message us and they're gonna be like, "So it's Carlos Condit, right? So it's this, right? No. It's not what you think. Trust me on that." And real quick to everyone that was hesitant to buy a month package here in March because there's only one event. You do realize that we're going to honor, 4 weeks of events. That means that there's only one event this month. It's not like the 2 weeks off, we're going to count that towards your package. You know what I'm saying? That'd be a complete ripoff. Yeah. Why would we do our members like that? Exactly. So what we're thinking is, and we got a couple of promotions we're running, but one that I'd like to do is if you buy the month package right now, and don't get me wrong, because our year package is our best, but if you buy this 1 month package, we're going to give you this max bet winner here for UFC London that's coming up in March, and then we're going to give you all the events in April. So you basically get a full month of fights plus an extra event free. So that sounds pretty fucking good to me.
Yeah, and, speaking of that, we still got our 20% discount off the full year VIP. Like I said, this is a long-term game. And, I mean, how does an extra 12, 13 units in 3 weeks sound?
How does $200 off sound our 1 year VIP package? All you do is at checkout, when you select the 1 year VIP package, just type in 20 off at checkout. You get $200 off, 20% off. And you're already working with with a nice 2 units to play with.
And speaking about, the whole hesitation, if I'm not sure, a good example of that is, before around December, Mateus Nicolau and Louis Smolka, Louis Smolka, 3 fights L streak in a row, and Mateus is coming off a USADA suspension, and everyone's not sure. You know what me and Dan knew a month out before that fight? That this is a complete mismatch. That Mateus Nicolau was going to absolutely smoke Louis Smolka. And, Smolka fought tough, but minus 175 is what we got that line.
For a 30-24?
Exactly. For a 30-25, 30-26, and complete domination. We get you the easy money fights, like I said, and UFC 223 is going to be a similar night to UFC 222 because I already see a couple easy mismatches, and I hope you guys can hop on board for them because, like I said, there's nothing better than enjoying a good UFC pay-per-view with an extra 8 units in your pocket.
Yeah, 100% about it, man, and, some of these guys, they want to tell both of us, hey, how about an extra 17 units? It doesn't sound bad to me, Shaq. And
I did have a few guys out there that told me they 14 parlayed our picks. And look, guys, you know how we feel about the parlays, but that's what I do for people.
Congrats this time on doing it. Don't ever do that again. But, hey, you went out there and won a couple grand for that, because that's what happens when you have an undefeated night. Now, you can't guarantee an undefeated night every time, but what we can guarantee is the long-term winning results. And that's why, that's why when some of our memberships ran out, that's why they re-signed up again, not just for another month, Shaq. They re-signed up for a year because they value what we bring to the table.
Look, I had some guys sign up for one event, and, that initial event, some people did lose UFC Belém, but I'm a man of my word. I'm not going to let you leave my service without profiting. I gave him an extra 3 events. You know how many bets he lost in those 3 events? 0. Talk about a guy that gets the job done. Talk about a guy that does what he says he's going to do, plain and simple. I mean, now I forced him that he has to buy my full year VIP membership because now he knows that I mean business, and throughout the year he's going to easily make that money back if he sticks to my skill, if you stick to our program, and we get the job done.
When you turn a one-event package into a year package, that just shows the kind of confidence we grew from the results we've been putting in. Now, real quick, a couple fights we didn't talk about. 2 split decisions, Dern versus Yoder, Johnson versus Milstead. Now, I scored them for the people that won, but I was actually surprised Yoder and Dern was a split.
Yeah, I thought Dern clearly won that fight. Besides the knockdown, I thought she was just, edging out the rounds. I actually thought Jordan Johnson and Milstead could have won either way.
Yeah.
And, Johnson continually went out there. Like we said on the podcast last week, he's going to give you a heart attack. If you're thinking Jordan Johnson's easy money at that line, you are mistaken. But granted, you guys got the job done. Congratulations. Johnson, he knows when it's time to win. He knows what he needs to do, but Lord have mercy, does he give you a sweat? And, we'll see how he's like the light heavyweight Gray Maynard. You know what I'm saying? He wins all his fights by split decision, but, he's got a lot more than that.
He's got a better chin, though. So now it's time for UFC London. Now we move on to the next card. And just so you know, our VIP members, they already know what we're eyeing as our max bet for UFC London. And I got to say, easy money. And it might even be double max bet season.
This is the type of, bet where you sit on the couch, kick your feet up, and enjoy some of the easiest money you made in your life. And like I said, UFC 223 is another similar night. I'm smelling multiple max bets, Dan. I'm smelling easy money, solid plays, at good lines, minus 120s, minus 115s, underdogs.
You know what's funny about this UFC London max bet that we have next week? It's the kind of max bet where, you call your girlfriend into the room, you call your best friend into the room, you call your cousin in New York, you say, check out this fight real quick, man. I got 500 to 1,000 on the line, or if you're a bigger bettor, I got 5,000 to 10,000 on the line. Check out these guys I found. Check out what they're about to do for me. And when that first round knockout comes around and we cash that max bet, a lot of people are going to be signing up to best fight picks again.
Guys, I told you last week, Cody Stamann is a proven winner. There should have been no sweating when they went to the scorecards. I told you Cody Stamann's going to get his hand raised. He always gets his hand raised. There should have been no hesitation. I knew if that fight went to the scorecards, it would be scored for Stamann.
Ketlin Vieira minus 120. Explain that to me. It should have been minus 320.
Complete mismatch. I had some of my own clients questioning me. if this was the right move. And I'm like, guys, how do you not see it? I mean, I heard this thing from Zingano 2 years ago before UFC 200. Oh, I'm back. I'm this.
She
and
couldn't
that.
even sniff a takedown.
What takedown? I told you the second they tie up, you're going to see it. The Nova style prevail because in the female game, it always prevails. The fundamentals, the basics. We still beat her every round, honestly, you know. Besides, Ketlin went into the fight injured and we still won. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, the Nova style prevails. You guys have to listen to me. I'm telling you how these things are going to play out word for word, and hop on board.
You know, they were saying that, you know, yeah, Pyle's done, but Otto just isn't that good. And
so what? So what? So what if Otto lost to Volkman and, you know, some other
Who gives a fuck? He
Who
knocked
cares?
him out in the first round easily. A minus 240 that should have been a minus 740. And, you know, you want to capitalize on these spots. You don't want these trap fights like Beneil and Frankie Edgar. You know exactly who to call.
You need me to tell you the trap fights. I already see people on trap fights for UFC London, and I'm already shaking my head because I already see the upset happening. And
some of these spots they're picking for London that they're overconfident on, I can't believe, buddy.
And it's sad because it's not going to work out. And when you make the easiest money of your life, like I'm telling you, you know, I got a solid backup option for that card as well. If things don't work out for my initial play, but
in terms of the line, not in terms of the result.
Line, exactly. And we're predicting lines over here. We already know what the line's going to be.
Especially with this new odds maker. I'm getting a good feel for him, you know?
Yeah. And like I said, man, you guys have to hop on board to stay away from these trap fights. Do not fall in, because you guys know the fight I'm talking about. Don't do it. And get my fight. I'm going to tell you the fight to be on because, like I said, easiest money you've made in your life.
Yeah, you know, and they can go bet their Duke and Waz minus 1,000s, but when they're ready to step up and bet something sharp, they know exactly who to call. Well, Shaq, it's been fun recapping this UFC 222 card. Next fight for us is UFC London next weekend. Make sure you sign up. Go to bestfightpicks.com. Go to maxbetseason.com. Use the promo code 20OFF at checkout to get 20% off, $200 off our 1-year VIP package. And we're now accepting Bitcoin, so send us an email to bestfightpicks@gmail.com for details on that. We'll tell you the address. And follow Shaq at MMA Genius 05. Follow me at Best Fight Picks. Go to our official Instagram at Best Fight Picks Official. Subscribe to Half the Battle on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, and Stitcher. Hook up those 5-star reviews on iTunes. If you take a screenshot of that 5-star review on iTunes, we'll hook you up with a free bet, as we always do. So until the next time, let's cash these bets.